Number one, Montgomery's firing.
Mm-hmm.
So what leads up to the firing is this terrible start.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the issues with Brad Marchand on the bench. David Pastrnak gets benched. A lot of the comments he makes, Montgomery makes in the media, finally saying he doesn't have any answers and that the writers can write what they think is happening. And it just seemed there was a lot of he was defeated. He was searching for answers that weren't there. His body language, we talked about quite a bit on the bench, hands in pockets, not really talking much, just kind of almost stoic, almost to a point where he just had no real reaction to much on the bench. Brandon Carlo almost gets paralyzed, and he doesn't really say much. There was just not a lot of fight left in him. And I think that was a big reason why. And look, a lot of people were thinking this isn't Monty's fault. He's getting a raw deal. And that might be the case, but he didn't help himself, as we've talked about, with his kind of behavior regarding it. And I think now there's probably some backstory to that led him to being even more frustrated and exasperated.
Probably. I mean, it seemed like he had checked out. It just did. It seemed like he had checked out towards the end. And if you want to blame him, blame the players. I mean, Sweeney and Neely talked about training camp again, going back, saying the training camp was kind of disjointed and but whose fault is that? Like, who's running training camp? So I understand there were some injuries maybe we didn't know about. Pasta, mentioned recently that he, got banged up, in the World Championships tournament. Marchand was coming off some surgeries. Lindholm was a little nicked up during camp. So, maybe that's part of it, the injuries. But at the same time, you were playing like, the Providence Bruins team together.
Right.
Joey Abate was in camp until like the last weekend.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
why? What
Why?
for?
He hasn't even come up. There's 4 other guys have been called up before him.
So, I mean,
Right.
I just, the way things were run just didn't seem to make sense to me. And I just feel like he's, and maybe it has to do with him being a lame duck. And Sweeney mentions some during his comments today about the firing that, he wasn't entirely sure what Monty was doing, how it was, shaking out, and the feelings that he was getting from him just weren't what he wanted to see from his team. It just wasn't what he wanted. There wasn't enough compete. There wasn't enough, execution. And whether that's the coach, it's the players, it's a combination of all of it, I think. So, you kind of get what you get at this point.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about how if your team looks like that, then the coach takes some responsibility. You can't allow your team to look like that. I mean, it was really bad. It wasn't just like a slump. It was awful, awful hockey and a real bad look. So when your team is that, down and just not competing all that hard, then that's on you, and you're going to feel the effects. I mean, it's professional sports. That's what happens. The coach gets fired. That's what happens. And Don Sweeney had this to say on Wednesday in the press conference about the firing.
Thanks for everybody for being here. The obvious reaction for me is disappointment in the decision I had to make yesterday in making the coaching change. I have nothing but respect and utmost appreciation for Jim Montgomery as a hockey coach, as a person. The infusion of positive reinforcement that Monty brought to the organization from day one, resonated. The historic season, fell short of a goal. Went back to work the next year with significant change, and he's going to be a good NHL coach. He is a good NHL coach, and I wish him well. His family was a big part of is a big part of his success and dynamic. And, you know, we're going to wish them well in everything they do moving forward. You know, it came from a decision of you know, our team really just not performing to the level of expectations that we have grown to appreciate as, you know, as a fan of the sporting community here. And, you know, for me, I had to change course. It's not generally been my nature to not enter into a relationship. I've worked with a lot of people over an extended period of time, unless they've gone on to other situations. And, you know, in Monty's case, we had entered into extension talks, couldn't find a deal based on what we had offered. And then when the underperformance of the team reared its head for 20 games, I had to make a decision. And moving forward, that rests with me now. From a personnel standpoint, and the players themselves, they have to understand that they're not where they need to be. And we're either going to get back there or there'll be continued changes across the board. So, you know, we've placed Joe in a position now here to get his hands on the steering wheel. Joe's well equipped to be able to do this and lead this group. Institutional knowledge for a number of years of teams that have been successful and where it needs to get back to be successful. He's interviewed around the league for other jobs, and he's well equipped to handle it. And the staff will be as it is for right now, but I don't rule out that we won't bring in somebody to complement this group.
You know, I'll tell you. He mentioned, you know, offering an extension to Montgomery and then not being able to come to an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what is that? And if that was part of the reason Montgomery started to get kind of frustrated by the whole thing, and that the players kind of caught on to it, and that's what started the ball rolling. Like, did they, you know, undercut him? Did they lowball him? Did they really give him a legitimate offer? Did they say, we will give you an offer, but we're not sure yet? Or what was said that caused Montgomery? Because it seemed like Montgomery had just realized that they really didn't want him back, was a lame duck, and felt disrespected.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because that part of the comments was what stood out to me as well. Was did they offer him, you know, peanuts, and was he pissed off? And did that lead to his body language behind the bench? Did that lead to hands in pockets? Did that lead to him not giving 100% to get the team ready during training camp? Like, was that all part of the issue? Is that he was a lame duck guy? He knew they didn't really want him because they lowballed him or whatever the offer was. And was that the start of all the problems? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say
that's part of the problem.
I'm going to say that was a part of the problem. He went into the year as a lame duck. So he's like, these guys don't want me. What kind of effort should I give if I'm not even sure I'm going to be here? What's the point? You know, and that's human nature. You can't really blame the guy for that. Right. And we said it all along. If he's your guy, you have to extend him. If he's not your guy, he should have been fired in the offseason, and they should have started this year with someone new. Right. Plain and simple. That's an error in management.
It is.
Sweeney and Neely. Decide. Is he your guy or not? You can't lowball the damn guy if he's the one you want to coach your team moving forward. Make up your mind. It's like he said it himself during the clip. I'm not really one to change by nature. You know, he's slow with all of his decision making.
Painstakingly slow.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, this was an example where you have to decide, make up your mind, and make a decision and live with it. Yeah. You know, you can't half-out. You can't be one toe in and one toe out. I feel like that's the Bruins under Sweeney, is they dip a toe in. You know, a couple of years ago, they finally went all in, and Montgomery fucked it up. And maybe that's, you know, where some of the resentment lies. I don't know.
Maybe. Could be. I mean, that'd be legitimate. Sure.
But, you know, their history is dipping a toe in. Oh, we'll get a third round guy. We'll get, a fourth line center. We'll get an ancillary piece. We're never going to go for it. It's always going to be a complimentary guy. It's going to be a guy that can boost our group, not impact our group. A guy who will, he'll be a nice little push for our group. It's not going to be an impact player. It's going to be he'll help a little.
But we grew up with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
With the Bruins, that's what we grew up with.
That's what it's been. That's what it's been there.
That's the Bruin
all
way.
Along.
Yeah, that's the Bruin way.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't take that extra step when they could have gotten a guy in the late 80s, early 90s to win a cup. They don't get that guy. Well, they don't do it now either. And he's risk averse, which they must like in the ownership group. Like they must like that. And, as long as he's making conservative decisions and they make the playoffs and, they have the best of both worlds, then that's what they like from him. And it is holding them back for sure. It's holding the Bruins back. It's extremely frustrating. And now I am getting a sense of why Montgomery acted the way he did. Do I think it's smart or do I think it's mature? And no, like I think that he looked, it made him look worse. But here's the thing. And we said this all along, like he wouldn't have made it to next year. He wouldn't have gotten an extension unless they at least made the Eastern Conference Finals. Like he would have had to make it. Like he would have to force them to give him the money and give him a new contract. And he just read the room and said, "This is not going to happen." So that's why we are where we are. It's a terrible misread by the management.
Yeah,
it's just mismanaged and misread.
Because, and I think that's what Sweeney does generally.
Yeah.
Is mismanage and misread. Yeah. And I think it's time. He says in those comments that it's it's on him now. The coach is gone. It's on the players and the roster that he built. It's on him now, and that's the way it should be. It should be on him now. And if this roster doesn't succeed, he should be gone. Yeah. He should have been gone already, probably, in my opinion. And Neely too. I think they should clean house. I would like to get an entirely new, fresh group from outside the organization. I don't want Evan Gold to take over. I don't want the same old. I don't want if they can Sacco. I don't want Jay Leach. I don't want the same old from within the organization. That hasn't worked. When you've gone outside the organization, for a Peter Chiarelli, you won a cup. When you go outside, you get a fresh voice, you get a fresh set of eyes, you get a different perspective. And that's what they need now. That's what they need at this point in time. They need fresh.
Right. When I'll tell you what, I would love a media member to follow up that statement by saying, "Okay, Don, what do you think would happen if you didn't give the guy a contract and he didn't have an extension ready to go? Like, do you think a lame duck situation was the smartest move for this team?" Like, Can someone ask that question? Like, can someone just ask him, like, now looking at it, is a lame duck situation a good situation? No. Like, why wouldn't you let him go if he didn't want the extension? When did you offer them the extension? One. And two, when he didn't take it, why didn't you let him go then? Like, that would be my question. Like, give me your media credential. Like, that's not that hard of a question to ask. Like, and it's a legitimate question.
It's a very legitimate question.
He said no. And when did you? And you probably offered it to him in the off season. If you're saying you didn't offer it to him within the last 20 games, so you offered it to him before the season started. He didn't take it. Why would you not just let him go then? That's what I don't understand. Because now he's lame duck and he's pissed.
Yeah, I mean they should have. Yeah. They should have. He like you said, mismanaged, misread.
Oh God! Like
And
Jesus.
just red.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into some player comments first. David Pastrnak and his comments on Jim Montgomery.
What was Don's message to you this morning when you guys met as a team?
Well, very simple. How I said, the compete and the battleness and the pride to wear this Bruin jersey has to go higher. It's been there forever. We have to take pride in the jersey, and it starts with compete and details, and then the bigger things will follow up.
Okay, David, here's my question to you. And here's a great follow-up for anybody who wants to work in the Boston media. David, why isn't it happening? Like you're saying all these things, like the crest and the pride and all this stuff, but you're one of the biggest culprits as to not having it happen. So why is that, David? Tell us why you have this revelation now that the coach was fired. In all the horrible games that have been played by this team, why wasn't it happening?
I mean, I wish.
Here's a question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
What happened so that the team got lax and decided not to give the effort and is not motivated to play better and play with more effort? Why? What happened? Because something had to happen, or there has to be some mindset behind this new phenomenon.
Yeah, I wish I knew. I wish I knew the answer. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think they know what the answer is, unless they just thought, he was coming off a 110-point season. October's not very important. It hasn't gotten them anywhere, to this point. So they were just kind of feeling fat and happy about, the season that they had last year, and thought, we'll just roll into the year, take it easy in the beginning, flip a switch, and we'll be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And
they said that. McAvoy and Montgomery both said that.
I mean, again, you can blame Monty or not blame Monty. However you personally or the fans want to handle that. I think he's responsible for some of it. I think obviously the players are responsible for a ton of it. But if the message from the coaching staff and management is October's not important, we need to be ready come, April, May, and June.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of mindset does that put the players into? Mm-hmm. If the coaching staff is like, don't worry about October, it's not a big deal.
Never heard of such a thing.
You get the play that you've gotten is what happens.
Right.
You get lackadaisical play that the players look like they don't care. Right. You don't get a compete level. You don't get the compete that's up to the standards of the Bruins. No, as Sweeney said in this league, it's too good of a league. There's too many teams that are going to work hard every night. The margin for winning and losing is very thin.
Sure.
So, I guess unless you're the Bruins and you're giving up fucking 7.
Right.
Right. It's a thin margin, and you have to work, and you have to battle, and you have to compete. That's the league. That's the NHL. If you don't win puck battles and compete, you're not going to win games.
No.
Plain and simple.
No.
It's not the All-Star game. You can't float around and not back check and expect to win. That's not what this is.
No. And then finally, Charlie McAvoy had this to say about the Montgomery firing.
We lost it. We lost it for a minute. And this is life. And these things happen. But today you wake up and you realize that you still have the best job in the world, playing for the best team in the world, the best organization in this game. I'm lucky and I'm blessed to be here, and today was a day of gratification, self-reflection, and then realizing that, we have 62 games left and we're still in a playoff spot or somewhere near it. So we got everything to play for, and that's the crest, that's each other, that's everything, and it's all going to be all right.
Yeah, again, Charlie, what happened? And I think it's a combination of what you said about, not taking October seriously, trying trying to, pace yourself through the season. Bad mistake. And that showed in the preseason when they kind of sat guys and didn't play guys enough and all of that. Didn't play guys together and all of that. And then there's also the fact that Montgomery didn't have an extension and lame duck, and it's all a perfect storm of stuff.
Yeah,
just
Swayman.
turns into Swayman, not being ready into camp, and then that whole thing that evidently has pissed a couple of teammates off here or there.
Yeah.
And now you have a perfect storm of things that come together, and it leads to bad play. And then when you start going bad, and then the pressure's on, and the voices are getting louder, and this team hasn't showed a lot of an ability to deal with pressure.
No.
So you have all those things come together, and this is what you have. So I think that's kind of how it all played out. It was just a bad start to the year, uneven start. It became dysfunctional, and now you're without your coach, and everybody says great things about him and all of that. But if for some reason they didn't play hard for him, and I don't know, something's not adding up to me.
I'm with you. So, I mean, we've said it a million times. They say all the right things.
Yeah.
I mean, good, lip service there from both Pastrnak and McAvoy. I do like the fact that McAvoy did seem to show some confidence there at the end, where he said, "We have 62 games and we'll be fine."
Right.
Hopefully, he's right.
Hopefully.
I mean, I hope he believes in himself and believes in the team. He needs to. That would go a long way to righting the ship if he started to believe in himself and have that confidence that he showed in that clip on the ice when he's playing with some of his peers and deferring to them. That would go a long way to helping this team if he got back to the player that he was a few years ago.
Do you think that you'll start to hear little rumblings through media sources about things that have happened? Do you think that the Bruins in Red Sox fashion will put out some things through some media members that will sort of plant the seed on what was happening or the reasons behind what had happened, just to kind of save face a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you're going to start seeing
they did it. I mean, they did it with Cassidy, didn't they?
They did. Yeah.
I mean, I think you'll see it. I think there'll be little things that'll come out about Monty to try to make them look better. 100%.
Yeah. I think because right now the clock's ticking and they don't look great at all.
No.
This is as bad as they've looked.
Yep.
And this is as close to being like a disaster as they've had in 10 years. So I think Sweens will try to save some face here with some planted little tidbits that you want to keep an eye out for.
I think you will. I think you'll start to see some of that stuff come out in order for them to.
I'm interested to see. In fact, it's already come out today, Wednesday, with some of the Swayman stuff. Like Fluto has said some stuff about Swayman and possible teammates and contract, and there's already some little things coming out about why the team might be in the rut that they are. So